All right, in this lecture, we're going to look at grammatical accuracy and range. So let's just start the lecture. Activities that we're going to look at is upgrading answers. So improving those answers, it's going to be a warm-up activity. Then we're going to look at matching replies. Then we're going to look at improving answers. And then we're going to look at part 1 practice. Okay. All right, warmer. How do you impress the examiner? Let me ask you this question. How do you impress the examiner? So you walk into the examination room and the examiner sees you and he asks you a question. Your first question is, what do you do to keep healthy? And you just respond by saying, I run. Does that impress, would this impress the examiner? And why? Why not? Okay, think about the answer. The answer is no. It's not going to impress the examiner. It's a very short answer. I run. There's not enough use of language for the examiner to assess your English. So he doesn't know what kind of vocabulary range you have, and he doesn't know what grammatical range you have. He's not able to assess your English in that way. So you shouldn't, and we already talked about it, that your answer shouldn't be so short. 2-word answer, 1-word answer is a no-no. All right, let's just look at these responses. You've got responses on the left-hand side. You've got responses on the right-hand side. Which responses do you think are the better response, right? So what you're going to do, first of all, is you're going to match a reply from the left, from 1 to 6, to the replies from A to F, right? So for example, the first response is, I think I'll study engineering next year. I will decide after my exams. 1, and then it's a similar response on the right hand side. D, I'm planning to take a degree in engineering. I'm due to start the course in September next year. Okay, so you've got 2 responses. Which response do you think is a better response? You'll have to think which reply is better and think about grammar and vocabulary. In terms of grammar and vocabulary, which response is a better response? For example, the grammar to express future is more impressive than in 1. For example, in D, D is a better response. To be planning to, you're using to be planning to, and to be due to. In 1, you're only using will, which is future tense, right? There's also some good vocabulary in D, which is take a degree. Take a degree, that's a good vocabulary, high vocabulary compared to what you have in 1. D has better grammatical structure and it has better vocabulary, lexical resource. So you are scoring high for better lexical resource, and you're also scoring higher for grammatical range and accuracy compared to 1. D is a better response. All right, so pause the video here, do it on your own. Think about which response, either on the left-hand side or the right-hand side, is better, right? And think about why is it better? Why is it better? Maybe the grammar is better, maybe the vocabulary is better, maybe both are better. Why they are better? Think about it, synthesize it, pause the video here, do this exercise on your own, and when you come back, we'll review the answers and responses. All right, let's look at the responses here. So you could see that suggested answers may be acceptable. So number 1 is D, right? So first, let's match all of the answers. Answer is 2F, right? So think about it too. So I spend lots of time around children because I've got 2. Well, 1 is only a toddler. My kids are very entertaining, but they can also be naughty. Look at F. I often play with children because my sister has three children. They are nice children, but sometimes they are bad. So these are 2 responses that you've got. Number 3, I like blue. I often wear blue clothes like t-shirts, shorts, socks. And look at A, I'm really into green. I've got lots of green tops and accessories because people say it suits me. Okay. Big fan of tennis. I've been playing every week since I was about 10 years old. And that corresponds to B. My favorite sport is football. I play football every week in the summer. Okay, let's look at 5. I still live in the same neighborhood I grew up in. It used to be a bit boring, but now there are lots of shops and restaurants. And if you look at E, you've got, I grew up in Vakra. I lived in a small house. Vakra was boring. Okay, let's look at C. I've got, I really like food. My favorite food is chicken and rice. I don't like vegetables very much, but I try to eat them because they're healthy. If you look at C, I love all kinds of food. I prefer savory dishes to sweet ones. In restaurants, I tend to choose spicy meals. So these are the corresponding answers. Let's just look at which one is better, right? So in terms of first, we already established that D is better, and you've got the, we talked about that. Let's talk about 2 and F. Which one is better? 2 is better. 2 is better because of vocabulary. Look at the vocabulary in F. F, children is repeated, and you don't want to repeat the vocabulary, right? In 2, it's substituted with toddler and kids, right? In 2, you have toddler, kids. So better vocabulary. Nice and bad from F are substituted with entertaining and naughty, right? It's much more better, not nice, bad. This is very simple vocabulary, but instead of that, we are using entertaining and naughty, which are less common and more specific lexical items. To spend lots of time around is a natural use of collocation. Spend lots of time around. If you talk about 3 and A is better in its use of less common and more natural expressions. A is better because it's got natural expressions. To be really into, it's a natural use of less formal language, and a good synonym for like. Tops and accessories are more specific lexical terms and more appropriate than listing items of clothing. I've got loads of is a very natural use of less formal language, which is highly appropriate for speaking. So when you're speaking, that's how people would speak. It will say, I've got lots of, to be really into. These are the things that the native speakers use quite a lot in spoken English. So that's for that reason A is better. 4 and B. If 4 is better, as it demonstrates a wider range of grammatical structures with greater mix of simple and complex sentences. We talked about this. You should be using complex sentences, and 4 is doing just that. I've been playing since to over reliance of present simple in B. So compared to B, in B, you're using present simple quite a lot. You're over relying on present simple. And if you do that, you will score limited marks for grammar. Whereas in 4, you're using much more complex sentences, and you're not over relying on one simple tense. You are using, for example, in this case, present perfect continuous. Okay, in the use of less common, more natural phrases, I'm a big fan of. 4 also shows a wider lexical resource than B. My favorite, instead of my favorite, you're using I'm a big fan of, which is a wider lexical resource. Let's talk about 5 and E. 5 is a better response as it demonstrates a wider range of grammatical structures. Compare the use of past simple, used to, and present simple with E. E's over reliance on past simple. Again, E is over relying on past simple. Lexical resource is also more specific in 5. Neighborhood and natural quantifiers are used, such as a bit and loads. Okay, try to use all of these in your speaking test as well, because it's showing the examiner that you have a wider lexical resource available to you. All right, in terms of 6 and C, C is better as the speaker uses a range of very specific adjectives to describe food that is savory, sweet, spicy, greasy. In 6, the speaker provides examples of food with little description, right? And C, in 6, it doesn't give you the descriptions of the food. C also uses wider range of verbs like I love, prefer, tend to, choose, avoid. All of these are going to help you to demonstrate that you have a higher lexical resource. Point out the use of verb patterns in both responses, tend or try plus infinitive. Okay, so you could use try plus the infinitive. Infinitive means the base form of the verb, or you could say tend to. All right, let's just do another activity. This will be your homework, but we will look at the questions together, but this is your homework: grammatical range and accuracy, and lexical resource. This is your homework. To improve the following replies, you have to improve the replies of the IELTS test takers, right? So you already know how to improve it. You saw two different responses. That's exactly what you would do. These are very basic responses. You will have to improve them. Use better lexical resource, use better vocabulary, use better phrases, and also use better grammatical structures, use complex sentences, compound sentences, and also grammatical use. Don't over rely on simple tense. Try to use present perfect, present perfect continuous, and try to use or past perfect continuous, and try to use different vocabulary structures accurately as well. It's very important that you use accurately to show that you have a higher grammatical range and accuracy. Okay, so this is going to be your homework. Let's just quickly review what you're supposed to do. For example, in the first example, I sometimes buy things on internet like clothes. You can buy new styles and they are cheap. This is very simple. It's using simple present. I sometimes buy things on the internet like clothes. Present simple. You can buy the new styles and they are cheap. You can buy new style, they are cheap. Look at the improvement of this question, of the sentence, sorry. I shop on the internet quite regularly. Quite regularly, instead of sometimes, you're saying quite regularly. Yeah, usually for work clothes. That's more specific, right? The stuff that's available, on the internet is usually more up to date. Very good vocabulary that you're using here, and often less expensive than in the shops. It's much better response than compared to the previous one. You've got some responses here. You've got 3 responses here. As a homework, you will do this activity. My favorite sport is football. I like watching it and playing it. All right, very, very basic. So you want to improve it and try to talk about, expand it a little further and try to use complex sentences, improve the vocabulary, and do it for question 1, 2, and 3. And think about the questions that the examiner asks as well. In this case, what the examiner asked in terms of 1, 2, or 3. Think about those. Pause the video here, do it on your own, and when you come back, we will review just the questions here. We'll review what sort of questions might the examiner would have asked this person. Right. All right, suggested answers. In first one, do you ever shop online? In the example above, that's the question that the examiner would have asked. So that's how you would explain, you would respond to it. Number 1, in the response number 1, you would you might have been asked to explain what is your favorite sport, and this is how you're going to respond to it. Obviously, you'll have an improvement of this response. You will try to work on that, and you can send me an email as well, or write your response in the comments in the Q&A section, and I will review it and I will comment on it. Number 2, how well do you know your neighbor? So the response here is, I know my neighbor. She is very nice. We met in 2018 and she helped me when I was sick. You'll have to improve it again. And in terms of question 3, where do you think you will go for your next holiday? Basic response is, my next holiday will be in Europe. It will be my first holiday in Europe. I want to visit important places and museums. You'll have to come up with an improvement for this. Okay, I wish you all the best, and I'll see you in the next video.